E-payment. InterSwitch processes 1.2 billion transactions in 1 month as more Nigerians embrace e-payment. Oil prices soar as producers unveil shock output cut. On Commodity Watch, gold eases but remains on course for quarterly rise. Plus, Business Express today takes a look at current currency issues and the economy. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Now let's begin the program with tax matters. Nigeria has again called on the United Nations and the international tax community to forge an inclusive, equitable, fair and universally beneficial international tax system towards the attainment of the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. The Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mohammed Nami, stated this while delivering Nigeria's statement at the Economic and Social Council special meeting on international cooperation in tax matters held at the ECOSOG Chamber, United Nations headquarters, New York. Nami noted that the Nigerian delegation is concerned about the global minimum tax as put forward by the OECD inclusive framework because of its low rate and the way it was negotiated to benefit the home countries of multinationals. He further commended African countries for strengthening their participation in international tax cooperation efforts, as well as strides they have made in closing loopholes and countering base erosion and profit shifting. He, however, expressed concerns that while much good work has been done, much more remains to be made towards a fully inclusive process, both domestically and internationally, and ensuring that all taxpayers are making their fair contributions. Now, Nigeria's commitment to overcoming various forms of fiscal crime is gradually receiving a boost. Abubakar Akwanga reports that the Chartered Institute of Forensics and Certified Fraud Investigators is leveraging the support of anti-graft agencies to stem the tide.
The knowledge they have acquired under this training is the baseline knowledge. Forensics evolves on a daily basis, so they should also be up to date with innovations and trends that happens in the field of forensics. This is very, very important. And of course, above all, discharge their duties with integrity.
Creating a group of professionals, an army of professionals, will enhance our battle towards fighting criminality in all sectors, finance sectors and other sectors of our economy.
InterSwitch has achieved a new milestone in transaction volume processing, hitting 1.2 billion transactions in March 2023. The figure is the highest the company has ever processed in a single month within Nigeria alone, excluding the company's other markets across Africa. The record underscores the increase in the volume of electronic payment following the scarcity of the naira, which has pushed more traders and individual spenders to alternative payment channels. According to a statement by the company, this impressive feat is a testament to InterSwitch's commitment to providing secure, reliable, and innovative payment solutions to its customers across the country. Now, has Nigeria's recovered gradually from the cash crunch after almost 3 months? There's a palpable fear in banks as customers are no longer bringing in cash to banks, while banks are giving out cash to customers who throng their branches across the country. What is the implication on the economy? I don't have answers to this, but together with Liu Elias, who is a development economist, we'll attempt to x-ray the situation. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's begin with maybe you can give us some perspective. There's now cash at the ATMs, and Nigerians have continued to make withdrawals. With this, any impact on the cash economy, talking about businesses that rely mostly on cash?
Right. Basically, there's a sign of we are relieved. Nigerians are relieved because at least we can now transact and we have cash to do day-to-day business as Nigeria. However, customers and Nigerians are having cautious optimism concerning this availability of Naira, because you agree with me that most Nigerians are having gone through such challenges over time. They now have a doubt, and any cash they have now, people prefer to have it in their houses in a place of taking those cashes to banks. I think that's a reflection of what we have experienced, and you wouldn't blame Nigerians. Everybody wants to be on a safer side of the economy, because now the cash is there, but you also notice that there is not enough new cash. It's now old cash everywhere. More so, I was in a bank today, and when I got to that bank, I had to leave that bank simply because the numbers of people at the entrance is still quite very huge. I went to the same bank on Friday, and I decided to get there earlier this morning, thinking that there will be availability of opportunity to even go into the bank to carry out transactions, but it's still a big crowd. So I will implore CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, to come up with a kind of a check, maybe a mystery shopper that will be checking how these banks are operating, because people still need that relief as we experienced earlier before now.
Okay, do you think the problem is the availability of cash, or our own problem to adjust to the new realities? That's the new way of doing business, that's exploring electronic platforms.
Well, the fact remains that we keep on saying electronics platform. When we say cashless, it does not mean that all the transaction will be going through cashless. You agree that most Nigerians that pay for school fees never pay through cash. If you are paying for cable TV, you don't pay through cash. A lot of payment that we are carrying out payment on, we don't do cash. So Nigeria is adapting gradually to that level. The only thing is that we need to keep encouraging people to use those platforms. I remember there was an advert I saw, and the advert said that there's going to be a credit, but those credits will be accessed through eNaira platform. You know, it's a loan, and that's where you pay those money through. That's another way of encouraging Nigerians to embark on that. But I must tell you that virtually every household pay some level of money through cashless and through other electronic platforms. So for me, I think in terms of cashless, Nigeria is still doing well compared to other big economies. So I don't think that's the challenge. We only need to educate people and channel. Perhaps the federal government might decide to pay the salary of civil servants through eNaira platform, salaries of their people through those platforms. That will encourage and will make people to learn more, because by the time you pay them through that, you also pay the next person through that platform.
Okay, you talked about non-availability, or to an extent, we don't get to see the new cash. Does this mean a kind of a discourage? I mean, should I say the monetary authority are somehow discouraged with this policy, because the Supreme Court has suspended that particular idea of phasing out the old notes till December? Is it actually discouraging the monetary authority?
I would not agree that it's discouraging. It's only an evidence that there is not enough new Naira notes. That's just the reflection. Because if there is enough, you don't even need to give Nigerians the old. Nigerians are ready to spend either the old or the new. So what they all need to do is that push out new the more. When you push out new naira, the more people will spend it. We don't have choice on selecting. There is no motorist that will insist that you must give him the old or the new. Just pay him Nigerian cash, and Nigerians are okay with that. So I think they should need to do more by giving us more new. Perhaps nobody wants to be transacting with old naira or old dirty and naira, as it were. So we are ready to spend new cash. So, but it's an evidence on CBN that there is not enough new naira notes. Perhaps CBN may not want to even support this policy, but because the Supreme Court has ruled on it that it should be, we should continue to spend it until December. So we want new cash. They should bring it out.
Okay, Nigeria's GDP is somehow projected to reduce by about 10 trillion naira to 15. By about 10 trillion naira to 15 trillion due to issues around the currency redesign policy. This is from former MBS boss Yemi Kale. Do you share same views?
Well, I actually agree with Dr. Yemi Kale on this issue, because if we look at Nigeria itself, Nigeria employment, small business employ over 50% of Nigerians. The kiosk owner, the vulcanizer, the market woman in Ariara, Kurmi Market in Kano, Lagos Computer Village, everywhere. If you look at that, small business dominate and employ over 50%. And in addition to that, over 48% of Nigerian GDP have gotten through these small businesses. So definitely the GDP is going to be affected, because most small business owner now do not have cash to transact during this period. We don't have cash. Will you go to vulcanizer and tell the vulcanizer that you want to pay vulcanizer through transfer? It does not work. So it simply means that a lot of people are handicapped in doing business. I must also tell you this, that most businesses that are using 10,000, 100,000 to do business, they don't even have the money again. You know why? Because by the time you have sum of 10,000 naira and you need 2,000 naira to withdraw that 10,000 naira, it remains 8. And over time, you still need to also reduce over time. Before you know, your own cash that you're using to do business, it has gone through this difficult way of getting cash, and that's the problem. And there's no cash. People that sell 10 naira, 20 naira cannot get transaction. I must tell you, most people, I think maybe POS people are coming back to business gradually now, but before now, about 90% of them does not carry out the business again. So it is expected that the GDP of Nigeria is going to be reduced to an extent, because the people that are about 48% of people that are contributing to this GDP have lost their businesses, or the cash to do their business, or the inflow of cash to them is quite difficult at this. So I think it is expected, and I agree with Dr. Yemi Kale. Okay,
it seems like what we are having, it's the issue of or a case of hoarding. Because we've seen the central bank have released some of this cash, but we are yet to see it, circulating. Don't you fear? Don't you think it might really affect the economy somehow? Because it seems like the money is circulating between people trading and POS operators.
But if you look at the objective of this design naira, having understand the fact that it's normal routine, maybe every 5 years that CBN is expected to be carrying out, you will also agree with me, part of the reason why it came about is to reduce hoarding of this currency. So now, if you want to reduce hoarding of this currency, I think there are other measures to carry out to establish that. I think the central bank is overseeing the commercial bank. They should monitor who collects how much they collect, not putting it in a difficult manner for people that need to collect 20,000 naira a day. People that collect millions of naira, people that should be watching, that they should monitor as expected, so that they will not take advantage of it. But I can also agree with you that people that are needing the cash can also go and mob, and that's what we are seeing in the banks now. That people come to banks and collect cash, but people don't bring cash to the bank. Because normally some people are doing day-to-day business that are expected to bring 100,000, 200,000 cash after their business every day, but they are not bringing it. So CBN should look for a way of monitoring that and making sure anybody that maybe cross the rule or abuse the rule are bring to book. That should be carried out as expected.
But I thought it's their money. Is their savings? They can decide not to take
No,
it
it
to
depends.
the bank.
If there's a dip, I think EFCC have a policy that once you are doing a particular transaction over time, perhaps maybe you are doing 20 million and it jumped to 100 million. It's a red sign, and they need to they are not saying you should stop your business, but you should justify why this difference and how it came about, and that settles it.
Well, it is obvious that banks are yet to meet 50% of cash needs, which means the e-transactions, the way they go. What's your assessment of tech infrastructure of the banks and any improvement as regards to failed transactions?
Well, globally, if you look at it very well, Nigeria is doing well in terms of fintech. We are doing very, very fine. However, we only need to work on our infrastructure. You know, all these things also has to do with the infrastructure. So we have enabling infrastructure that really caters, because if you see some people do transaction and the transaction failed, and once you have a failed transaction, before you will get that money back, they could say maybe in next 24 hours. It's quite discouraging to an extent. And I think by the time CBN also comes up with the Afrigo, which is a payment card, also maybe that will also help, because the fact is that most of these people are foreign, that you have to use their platform. If you have our own local here, people they could manage it better, and if there's a failed transaction, there could be urgent attention to it. I think for fintech we are doing fine. The CBN is also doing well in terms of electronic transaction.
Well, talking about the central bank cashless policy, do you see this helping monetary policy?
Well, if you look at it very well, I think it's purely monetary policy.
As in the rates, I'm talking about monetary policy rates, because the
MPR,
CBN has now pushed the rate to 18%, interest rate to 18%. Do you see it helping CBN achieve his objective?
Well, if you look at CBN objective on all these things, the primary objective is to reduce inflation. And you will now see that even taking the MPR up to about 18% or 17% or thereabout, the fact is that does it really handle or reduce the inflation as we see? Because I expect them to maintain status quo, at least even the little balance we have gotten on foreign exchange we can maintain, but they have actually increased. But what are the major things that is causing inflation in Nigeria? You agree with me, it's related to production, energy problem, foreign exchange. So these things are not what really this thing can really tame. I want to implore CBN or the monetary policy agencies to really work with fiscal policy, because they have to work together. Because if you are looking at monetary policy, you are leaving the fiscal policy behind, it will bring an issue. So that's why they need to work in synergy and work together and see how. But increasing the MPR, for me, I don't think it will reduce the... And it also reflects on the last inflation report that we got. Upon all our issue of Naira redesign and what have you, could see that it does not still reflect any reduction in the inflation level in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Leo Elias. Thank you for always coming on the program to share your thought with us.
Thank you for having me.
Now moving on, oil prices soared Monday after top producers unveiled a shock output cut of more than 1 million barrels, while equities mostly rose after data showed U.S. and European inflation eased further last month. However, the decision by the OPEC Plus cartel found concerns about a fresh spike in prices that could put pressure on central banks to push interest rates higher. Both main crude contracts jump almost 6% at one point following the cut of Saudi Arabia, Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Algeria, and Oman, which was the biggest since the group slashed 2 million barrels per day in October. It came on top of a Russian decision to extend a cut of 500,000 barrels per day, and in spite of U.S. calls to increase production. Gold eases but remains on course for quarterly rise. Now let's look at commodities. Federal government Lagos companies list 318.52 billion naira securities on NGX. Moplanda Cock has more in the week ended.
Equities market in Nigeria depreciated by 1.20% at 54,232.34 basis points last week to end the last trading week in the month of March on a negative note. Market capitalization dropped to 29.544 trillion naira. A total turnover of 2 billion shares worth 17.5 billion naira in 17,917 deals exchanged hands in the week by investors on the floor of the exchange. All other indices finished higher with the exception of NGX Main Board, NGX 30, NGX Oil and Gas, NGX Lotus 2, NGX Industrial Goods, and NGX Growth indices, which depreciated. The financial services industry measured by volume led the activity chart with 948.7 million shares valued at 7.6 billion naira traded in 7,903 deals. The conglomerates industry followed, while the third place was occupied by the oil and gas industry. Trading in the top three equities, Transnational Corporation, Living Trust Mortgage Bank, and Fidelity Bank, also measured by volume, accounted for 1.4 billion shares worth 3.4 billion naira in 1,620 deals. A summary of price changes shows that 37 equities appreciated in price in the week. 30 equities depreciated in price, while 90 equities remained unchanged.
This Monday saw Nigeria's equities market starting the first trading day of April on a bearish note. At the close of the day's session, the all-share index declined to 54,190.28 from 54,232.34 points in the previous session, just as market capitalization also dropped to 29.52 trillion naira. A total of 292.55 million shares valued at 2.38 billion naira in 4,408 deals were traded in the floor of the exchange. Now, global market update is next with Inekauko.
Asia-Pacific markets largely rose this Monday as investors further digested key manufacturing data in the region. In Japan, the Nikkei 225 was 0.52% higher to finish at 28,188.15, and the Shanghai Composite rose 0.72%, while the Hang Seng Index was marginally positive. European markets were mixed, with oil markets in focus after a surprise production cut by the OPEC Plus alliance. The French CAC rose 0.36%, UK FTSE gained 0.7%, while Germany's DAX was the relative underperformer. In the US, the Nasdaq 100 futures retreated in early trade as Wall Street turned its attention to the start of the second quarter, along with a big jump in oil prices. The benchmark index shed 0.6%. S&P 500 futures lead 0.13%, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average ticked up 0.3%. Markets in Africa were also mixed in early trade this Monday. South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 and GSE Composite in Ghana both started the week on a bullish note, while the benchmarks in Tunisia and Namibia declined fractionally.
Well, that's it. Business Express returns Tuesday by 9:30 a.m. I'm Musa Abubakar. Thanks for your company.